It's 7:30 now, so welcome. I just wanted to welcome everybody.
Mm.
It's lovely to meet you, Bryan. This is the first time I've spoken to you, but I've read your website. It's fascinating. It's really, you've got a fantastic story to tell. So Anna, over to you.
Well, welcome everyone on a lovely Sunday evening. It's just started raining here in London, but we've had some really mild days. So before we go over to Bryan, just a few little things that I just wanted to share. Our Christmas cards are now available on the charity website. We had some fantastic artwork that came through to us because we had a competition for children and adults. So they're now available on the charity website. So it's 10 Christmas cards for £3.50, and you can see our winners. It's anti-bullying week next week, a week on Monday, a week tomorrow. And please listen to Lauren Lovejoy, one of our Autism's Got Talent performers. She created a song and a melody called Believe for our Give Us a Break campaign. She has an amazing voice, sounds very much like Amy Winehouse. We've got Watford Football Club as well that are supporting us, so that'll be coming up very soon with messages from the football club. And if you missed some of our past YouTube chats, they're again all on the charity website under the YouTube channel. And we've had in the past Carrie Grant, Casey Ainsworth, Richard Mylan, John Paul Horsley, and now we have Bryan and a couple of other things. We have an AKO resources page, so please check that out. So it's www.annakennedyonline.com. If you think that there's some resources that are missing on that page, please send into us any links that you feel that might be useful for children and adults, and we will put them up on there. And tomorrow I will be speaking to the CEO of Daisy Chain, which is a charity in the Northeast. Daisy Chain was created by a mum about 16 years ago, and she had a dream, and a dream came true. But I'm sad to say that the day that the actual centre opened, she died. So she sadly hasn't been able to see how the site has progressed, and I'm really proud to be patron. So I'm speaking to Niraj tomorrow at 1 o'clock on Women's Radio Station. Again, the information's on the charity website. So you'd like to hear me speak to Niraj and all the plans that they've got in the Northeast. And the last thing, every Thursday, the first Thursday of every month, Aston Avery, one of my charity ambassadors, I speak on Gateway Radio with him. And we talk all things autism in Essex. So now I'm going to introduce to you the lovely Bryan Chandler. I think we met probably about 3 years ago. It might even be longer. All the years roll into one.
It was around 4 years ago, actually.
Oh, was it 4 years? Wow.
Yeah. No, wait. No, it was 2015. So it would have been 5 years ago.
Oh, my word.
The Basingstoke Open Day or something, wasn't it?
That's right, because I used to be ambassador for a group there, but it's sadly closed now. But it was a really lovely group of parents. We used to go there for I think I met you with Father Christmas as well, if I remember correctly.
We had a little selfie with him as well, didn't we? I remember that.
We did. So I'm not going to steal your thunder. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, Bryan, to everyone, and over to you.
Sure. Okay. So I'm Bryan. I am on the autism spectrum. So I have Asperger syndrome, diagnosed when I was 23 years old. I'm 29 now. So as you can see, not that long ago, to be honest with you. It was a weird diagnosis because there were no diagnosis centres in Portsmouth for quite some time. Because I technically found out about Asperger's when I was 17 years old. But as there was nowhere for me to go and my anxieties were really, really high at that point, it took quite a few years after that for me to actually see someone to get a proper diagnosis. So that's why I was 23 when I got that. I run a really successful Facebook page, which I'm really, really passionate about, as you know, Anna. And I've been running it now for almost 10 years. So
10 years? Wow.
Almost, yeah. The time's just completely flew by, and we've got almost 350,000 people on there. And at its peak, we can reach millions of people on a weekly basis. And the idea of the group is basically just to raise awareness of the positives of the condition, not just the negatives. Because although, yeah, it's important to raise awareness of the negatives, the positives are just as important. And I feel like they're not talked about enough. And I guess that's my ultimate mission, to speak as a person on the spectrum, on behalf of other people on the spectrum, advocating for the positives and just trying to encourage and help and support in the best way that I can. So I guess that's my entire mission on the page and off the page.
Well, I can see in the background you've got your Christmas decorations up.
I do. Merry Christmas. So still got a little month and a half to go, but you know, I thought there's nothing else to look forward to this year. So I'm just gonna put them up early. Done Halloween and the following day it's like it's Christmas.
So how are you coping in lockdown? What's different about the first lockdown we have and now number 2?
Okay, in all honesty, at the moment, because we're still really close into it, I'm finding it a little bit easier because to a certain extent, I know what to expect. I know we've been through a lockdown before. I know the rules. I know what we need to do. So I find this one a little bit easier. The heartbreaking thing is not being able to see your friends and doing the things that you'd want to do, but that's why modern day technology is amazing, you know. So what we're doing now, you can Zoom, you can Facebook message, Facebook call. There's different ways that you could talk to your loved ones, and I think that's really important for us all to do, you know, because it's very important that we keep in contact with everybody that's in our lives.
So this is your first Zoom today.
It is. I've never done a Zoom call before. Am I doing okay?
You're doing very well.
Thank you. I thought I'm just not going to be able to get onto this. I'm going to fail. My anxiety kicked in. You know, autism anxiety goes hand in hand. Got to like 6:30 and then I'm like, is it 7:30 yet? Got to I was counting every 5 minutes, looking at my phone, like trying to comb my hair. Do I look okay? Like, is my cup in the right position? You know, product placement, and you know, but I'm okay. My anxiety was quite high an hour ago, but now I'm kind of like pretty chill.
So you're a carer to your lovely mummy.
Yes.
Just share what you feel comfortable sharing. So as a person on the spectrum and a carer, and if you want to share your mum's diagnosis, it's what you feel comfortable with. If you'd like to talk a little bit about that, how's it affected you and how's it affected your mum during lockdown as well?
Okay, yeah, I have no problem at all saying my mum's diagnosis. But before I do, I just want to say that hands down, she's the most inspiring person in my life, and that will never change. You know, she will always be the most important person. So she was diagnosed with dementia a year ago, and we've known about it for the last 2-3 years. Started off with her having a stroke, which led to a lot of bleeding, and that also eventually caused her dementia. It's a struggle looking after mum, especially when she, you know, is having one of her bad days. You know, it's really heartbreaking. We have a little laugh together, we have a little cry, but ultimately she teaches me love. You know, she's taught me the whole definition of love, and she, you know, is fantastic. You know, being a single mum, also with learning difficulties and issues of her own growing up, she has always been fearless and confident in looking after me. If she made a mistake in her own life, or she done something not quite okay, she would always put me first, and my mum has always been that way. So my uncle as well, I'd just like to do a big shout out for him as well, because he looks after my mum every single day, 24/7. And honestly, I don't know what I would do without him. He's been my rock, and he's been absolutely fantastic. It is hard.
Your love for your mum.
Yes. Oh yeah, on Facebook I'm constantly talking about my mum, and I say this on Facebook, I say this to my friends every single time I post a selfie of myself. Okay, I get 100 likes. It's like, okay, that's pretty decent. If I post a photo with my mum, it completely, you know, it completely gets like 200-300. I'm like, oh, okay, my mum's clearly more popular. But honestly, the amount of love and support that me and my mum get, and my uncle as well, from everyone online, that people I know personally and people online, it's just fantastic. The support's been absolutely amazing. I've had people reach out to me offering a helping hand, offering an ear if I need someone to talk to. But living with dementia is very hard. Living with autism can have its challenges, as you know, but I don't believe that anything is impossible. You know, I feel like if I want to do something, then I'm gonna do that. They say that people on the spectrum don't have empathy and they can't care about other people.
Rubbish.
Not true. Yeah. Not true. Like the love that I have for not my mum, like my mum and other people is, I care about everybody, Anna.
Yeah.
I care about everybody.
So people listening in that might not know the signs of dementia, could you sort of outline the first things that you noticed about your mom?
Okay, so the first things I noticed was increased anxiety. So over worrying about things. So she started to worry about people breaking in. Even people that she's known for a while. So we've got some lovely neighbours, and all of her birthdays and Christmases, they give her some amazing gifts. Flowers, chocolates, everything you could possibly think of. But she's still like, oh, they're gonna break in. What's gonna happen? So it's like increased paranoia and anxiety. Also a little bit of anger in there. Like if you're trying to help her, she can use the F word. She can drop the F bomb and start, getting quite aggressive to a certain extent, and then her mood can flip. So she can be really, really angry, and then the next minute she can be like, oh, I love you, you're the best son ever, but F off. I'm like, okay. So it's definitely something to look out for. But dementia is not the end of the world. There is a lot of support out there, but we just need to find that. And it did take a little while for me to find support for my mum, but thankfully we're getting there now.
Yeah, I was going to ask about support. What's support like, especially in lockdown? Is it good?
Yeah, so it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Like any kind of support at the moment, I think is pretty decent, considering it took us actually 2 years to get any support for mum, because there was a time when people weren't taking us seriously, and they didn't even take me seriously that she had dementia. So that was a really, really hard thing for us to go through. But now that we're in lockdown, she has a carer come to see her every single day, and honestly, her care is amazing. She's perfect. I couldn't wish for a better carer. And I met her for the first time a month ago. So just before we got back into this lockdown situation, I booked my uncle a little breakaway. He deserves it. So he went to the Isle of Wight for a week. So which he really, really enjoyed. Just to give himself a little bit of a break so he can do what he wants to do, which would be great for him. So I ended up staying around mum's, looking after her, doing what I needed to do. And it was just absolutely fantastic. And I met her carer for the first time. And I was really prepared to say everything that was going on. So this is her birthday, this is what's happening, this is the kind of care that my mum needs. Before I could even open my mouth, she knew her birthday, she knew what was going on tomorrow, she knew her favourite breakfast, she knew what happened 5 years ago. I'm like, okay, I'll just carry on playing my PS4 then. I won't even get involved.
So let's talk about your Facebook page. And you started it 10 years ago. Why did you start it? And what sort of queries do you get from people as well? Is it mainly from children? Is it mainly from adults? Is it mainly from parents or carers?
Okay, so the page and group, because I run a Facebook group as well, the whole community is for everybody.
Okay.
It's, although I'm the main facilitator of the group is for every single person that presses like on that page and group. It's a support group for them. The reason I started it is because at that time, 10 years ago, I had no support. Although I didn't have a diagnosis, I knew that I had the condition because I was told by a counsellor, done my own research, etc. So I thought, okay, there's going to be people out there like me, because I spent all of my life feeling so isolated and different from everybody else that mental health is a really big thing for me, because when I was a teenager, I was actually suicidal. My mental health was at such a negative state that, thankfully with the right support by counselling and my amazing family, I was able to put myself in some kind of positive mindset. Then found out about Asperger's, but all of the negative things I went through as a kid and as a teenager, I didn't want other people to go through the same. So I wanted to tell everybody that there are other people out there like them, and they're not alone. So for the last 10 years, I've been promoting the group and page constantly, sharing to other groups, being really passionate with what I'm talking about, sharing my own story. So yeah, it's amazing. And we get a lot of messages from all different people. So we get messages from parents, children, teenagers, adults, professionals. And one of the loveliest messages I ever got from somebody was from a mother who said, you've helped me parent my child. I didn't know whether my daughter loved me, which I thought was completely heartbreaking. But she said, from reading your posts, we know that people on the spectrum do have empathy. It's just expressed in a different way. Okay. And I think that's a really important thing to bear in mind, because not everything needs to be shown, and not everything is verbal. There's so many ways to communicate other than using the spoken word. And that's also one of the things that I love to get out there to people, because there's different ways to communicate.
A lot of parents and also adults on the spectrum want employment. They want employment for their sons and daughters. So if you don't mind, if you can talk to me about your employment journey and what you're doing now, what you've done in the past, how was it for you?
Okay, yeah, so employment hasn't always been easy for me. Thankfully, the place that I'm in now, I'm a support worker for adults with learning disabilities and mental health, which I absolutely love. That's my forte. That's what I really, really enjoy. I feel completely respected. They don't treat me like I'm somebody, like I'm a colleague on the spectrum. They treat me as an equal, which I love, and I wish more workplaces would be exactly the same. I didn't actually get a paid job until I was 23. Okay. And I know that's a really big worry for a lot of parents, that when their child gets 16, 17, 18, they may not have gone to college, or they may not have a job. What's going to happen? And that's completely understandable, because as parents, naturally, there's going to be worries, there's going to be concerns. But I think society, they always have to put a number on something. Do you know what I mean? So when you get to this age, you have to do this and you have to do that. It doesn't matter whether you go to uni at 30. It doesn't matter whether you get your first job at 25, you know, as long as you're happy and you're progressing, it doesn't matter where you are right now. It matters about where you're going. And look at what you have achieved, because if you ask the people around you and we're actually open with that, I bet they could point out lots of positive things about you. So I always say that our mind is our greatest enemy, but also our best friend.
So do they have to make reasonable adjustments for you? And if they do, if you don't mind sharing, what sort of reasonable adjustments do they make for you?
They don't make any reasonable adjustments for me, but that's due to choice, because I feel they trust me. You know, I'm genuinely good at my job, and they can tell that I'm passionate about what I do. If there were adjustments that needed to be made, then I'm very comfortable talking to my management, the other staff that are there. We're like a little family, you know, the amount of time that I spend there with them, it's like I can get on with them really well. We can share our darkest, deepest secrets with each other. So it's amazing. But I feel like every single person can do more than what society says they can. You know, I know we're all at different levels and different abilities, but I feel like there's never a point where you can just stop. I think there's always room for not improvement exactly, but to grow as a person. Do you see what I'm saying? So I feel like, yeah.
So what hasn't worked for you in the past? Because I know that you have had positions before where it just hasn't worked. So if you don't mind sharing, what sort of things didn't work for you and why?
Okay, so like I said, the place I'm in now is amazing, but I was in another care home just before this place, and I was only there for about 9 months, but it was absolutely terrible. So I started there, I had no training whatsoever. You know, they told me not to read care plans, they told me not to do this and not to do that. They would talk about the residents and stuff in the staff room. It was just really, really bad. And I knew I've got really strong morals. So I know that, like, sometimes if I'm in that kind of situation, my anxiety would kick up and I wouldn't be able to talk about what's bothering me. And I wouldn't be able to say, well, hold on a minute, that's wrong, that's not okay. But in my head, I would know that it's not. And then I would have to do something. And that could make me nonverbal. You know, because I'm so anxious, and people just think I'm silly or I'm stupid because I'm not really talking as much as other people. I did feel bullied, and I felt, you know, singled out, you know, because of my autism, because I was quiet. People called me soft because I know how to talk to people nicely and stuff. But I feel, you know, I spoke to my manager about bullying. She just completely dismissed it. We had a bed bug infestation.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. On one of my very first shifts, actually. And this was before I personally knew about my mother's diagnosis. But we had a resident with dementia, obviously can't say too much. One of the carers at the time told him to stand the F up on my one of my very first shifts. So I ended up reporting him, getting the guy fired, which I guess is one of the positives that came from that job. I guess that wasn't a very good experience for me. They didn't, I told them about my autism and about my Asperger's. I tell all of my employers that I've got the condition. Some of them handle it and deal with it better than others. The place I'm in now deals with it fantastically, whereas the place I was in before didn't deal with it at all. They just didn't understand it. But I'm glad that I managed to get out of that situation, because the last job that I was in, I was put in by the job centre.
Okay.
I got made unemployed from the last job, and then it was like, okay, just do this. I think you would really enjoy it. And what I feel proud about was I had the confidence to leave that job myself and apply for the job that I'm in now on my own back and on my own terms. And I managed to get it through myself, not through someone else putting me there. So I guess I love that.
With, companies, if they don't know anything about the condition, that's fine. But if they're willing to learn, isn't that a good thing? So, but you have got some.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very close
Thankfully,
by.
we actually have, obviously can't go into too much detail here, but where I work now, we do have adults with autism. So the staff do understand, because we're working with adults on the spectrum too.
Okay. So before your diagnosis at 23, what was school life like for you? Again, if you don't mind sharing what that was like.
I don't. Anna, you can ask me any question you want to. Honestly, I'm an open book. I'm an open book. But school was really tough. I didn't have any friends. I felt really depressed. Didn't know who I was. This was before I knew that I had Asperger's autism, so it was kind of a really dark state for me to be in. And that was around the time, like I said at the beginning, where I started to feel quite suicidal, and I didn't even know who I was. It was really tough, but I was bullied by so many people, but I did end up leaving school with 16 GCSEs.
Wow.
So Thank you. But then I ended up going to college. I did drop out after a year because of, again, before I found out I had autism, because again, I was in such a negative place. But there was light at the end of the tunnel, because after I dropped out of college, that's when I began my journey, because I started counselling.
Okay.
And then that's when I found out about Asperger's, when I joined a group and met the amazing friends that I've got now. There's about 10 years ago, I had no friends. Now I've got too many. But I can't win.
Would you recommend counselling? Because I know quite a few adults that just wouldn't even entertain counselling. What worked for you?
For me, I would say it really, really depends on the person, because I know for me, I've seen a counsellor several times in my life. The first one that I saw, which was the one that told me about Asperger's, was amazing. I couldn't fault him at all. We actually had a little bit of banter sometimes as well, because I always like to, when I do an interview or when I'm talking to somebody, I like to plan it. And I normally take with me a little trusted diary with little notes and stuff that I'm going to say and that I'm going to do. And I used to plan the entire counselling session. So I used to write what he was going to say, what I was going to say, how he's going to help me. And if it doesn't go the way that I want to, I'd see him as really, really bad. So seriously, Bryan, okay, what have you got? What am I supposed to say today then, Bryan? Let's go through your diary, tell me my script. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So we had a bit of a fun time with that. But I would recommend counselling, definitely. But then it would depend on the person, because every single person's different. I would say give it a go. Give it a go. And if it's not for you and it doesn't work, then there will be something that does suit your needs.
Yeah.
But
you
there's
need a little bit of time as well, don't you? Because sometimes I think some people go to the first session and they expect to be fixed.
Yes, they do, exactly. And to be honest, on my first counselling session, I was like that. I was like, right, I'm here, now fix me. And it was when I actually got my diagnosis as well, Anna. This was it was with a behavioural specialist that diagnosed me. I was in the room for an hour or two, so I was in there for quite some time. About half an hour into the observation, probably about 200 questions later, I was so overwhelmed. I was having a bit of a sensory overload. I was completely drained from answering so many questions that I was just kind of like, I'm bored now. And my uncle went with me, and then, you know, he was like, yeah, he definitely has Asperger's. And I'm like, yeah. And that was also the time when Asperger's was taken out of the DSM-5.
Oh,
No,
right.
well, if I said that right, DSMV, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But no, that was taken out of the equation. But I will always identify as someone with Asperger's,
Okay.
regardless of whether that's specifically on the diagnosis or not. And I did say to the behavioural specialist, right, you're here to diagnose me today, but in at least somewhere in your notes, I want you to put down that I've got Asperger's.
Yeah.
That's my one requirement. And he said, okay, I will.
Okay, so a big milestone in your life, a year ago, you moved out from
Yes.
house, and you're now in your own place, and then it took down. So
yes,
how did you feel about
I think it's all my fault.
How did you feel about moving away from your mum and being in your own place, and how are you now?
Okay, moving away from my mum was one of the toughest things that I'd ever done, especially with her dementia diagnosis and knowing that I was going to be apart from her. It wasn't at the beginning when I made the decision to move out, it wasn't so bad, because I knew that I was only going to be 5 minutes away from her. I could see her every day, you know, there's going to be no problem, but it's also going to give me the space that I need. But then shortly afterwards, lockdown. And then there was a period throughout the first lockdown for about a month or two that I just couldn't see my mum. So I did go around to visit, but I stood back at a distance. And the heartbreaking thing was my mum said to me, oh, why can't I hug my own son? You know, what's going on? I was like, and I really wanted to, you know, as you can imagine, I really wanted to just walk up to her and give her a hug, but I had to do everything I could to protect her. So that was the hardest thing about moving out for the first time. But honestly, I love it. You know, I love it. Like, the anxiety of it did get on top of me a little bit at the beginning. But I guess once you get used to everything, like once you get used to how to pay the bills,
how to say the bills, how's that for you?
Yeah, definitely different, because I'm thankfully, when I lived with my mum, she was really, really nice and didn't allow me to pay anything. She said she would do all of that. And growing up, I think I took advantage of that, and I didn't realize how much I would have to pay and spend out when I moved out myself. So when I got paid every month, I'm like, yes, I've got this amount of money. But then a day later, it's like, oh, it's all gone. Great. As I'm sure a lot of people can relate, but I wouldn't take that back though. I definitely wouldn't take that back. And I feel if I didn't move out this year, like, I always see the positives and everything, but if I didn't move out this year,
I'm watching a Zoom from one of my Asperger's people.
Hello, Nathan.
I'm just watching.
It was a quick one anyway, just to make sure you're okay.
Yeah. Back a minute. Hang on. Yeah, I just remembered.
Just being checked upon, that's good.
I was like, where did Anna go? That's not Anna. Oh, bless. So sorry,
if you had to give some tips and advice to someone who's thinking about moving out, what tips and advice would you give?
I would say just know what you want to do. If that's something you want to do, then go for it, but make sure you plan it to every detail, especially if you're on the spectrum, because that's what I did. So I planned it from what day I'm going to move out, what I'm going to speak to. Like, I had my diary in front of me, planning each step A, B, C, D as I went. I feel if you just be around people that you care about, you know, and I moved in with my housemate. So if it is the first time that you've moved out, you know, maybe move in with someone else. It would make the bills cheaper. You know, you could share cooking responsibilities, washing up responsibilities, which I don't share that often, unfortunately. So Josh would kill me, you know, if I say that. But no, it makes you feel really independent.
Okay.
And I think that's really, really important, you know, because you can wake up when you want to wake up, do what you want to do, and I think it's a really amazing feeling.
But what about looking for somewhere? What did you do? Did you go to an estate agent? How did you do it? And how did you choose the right place for you?
So basically, I did go to an estate agent. So I started off having a look on their website, and I thought, you know, is it gonna be okay for me? Is it a good area? Are we gonna have noisy neighbours? What is it like? Are there things around me? How am I going to cope with the change? which was a really, really big question on the top of my mind, because change I don't deal with too well. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do to make myself feel more comfortable? I know that obviously when I move out, all of my belongings are going to come with me, and you know, everything's going to be okay. But ultimately, as long as I was with my mum, that was the most important thing to me. As long as I was near my mum and I was near my work, then I'm happy.
Okay. A lot of people have got a lot of anxieties at the moment because of lockdown and everything that's going on around them. What tips and advice would you give to people on the spectrum to help them get through each day?
So I would say just take one day at a time, you know, and make sure you check up on your loved ones, you know, phone them, message them if that makes you feel more comfortable, because I know not everybody likes talking on the phone. Just find things that you enjoy, you know, focus on your special interests, you know, mine being autism and Britney Spears, two completely similar
Britney Spears.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go from really technical autism and Britney Spears. But I would just basically just say do what makes you happy, you know, listen to music, watch a film, keep in contact with your friends, and know that it's not the end of the world. You know, it's tough right now, but you're not alone. Everybody in the whole world is in the same boat at the moment, but we will get through this. You know, it's definitely hard. I'm usually good at controlling my anxiety and controlling my depression and controlling certain aspects, but throughout lockdown and throughout all of this virus that's going around, I'm really struggling. And being on the spectrum amplifies that, but I guess everybody right now is really struggling. So I think the key for every single person, spectrum or not, is just to keep in contact with everybody and make sure you still find some kind of routine, because I feel routine is very important for all of us, otherwise it would just feel completely lost. Because I know me, I can just stay at home all day. Like if I didn't have any plans, I could just sit on my sofa, stare at the ceiling, and you know, it's like 10 o'clock at night and it's time for bed. So I think getting a nice routine is definitely key, and keeping in contact.
Okay, so you obviously are working, you're looking after your mum as well. So what do you do for me time, and what do you do for your own mental health and well-being?
Well, when I do get me time, which isn't that much, I listen to my special interest, Britney. I like cooking. It's like a new hobby of mine, which you've noticed. I'm always posting all of these different dishes and stuff online. Video games, you know, I like to walk, because one thing we can do in this lockdown is power walk. And I know, is it yourself and Angela as well?
Yeah, we do a lot of walking in parks, but I've noticed they get really busy now, because we normally go, I was just saying, we go early in the morning, so I was there at 9:15 and the car parks are full. And I'm just thinking, these people weren't here before.
And you always get his morning sausage sandwich as well.
Yeah. Now is a new one.
Oh, bless. But I love walking as well. And I think walking is something, as you could probably imagine, share as well, it's a really good thing, and it's great for people's mental health. It can really turn around your entire mood. It keeps you fit. You know, if you're having a bit of a bad day, even if you just go for a 20-minute walk or even a 10-minute walk, for me sometimes it can really turn my mental health around, and I can go from feeling really not so okay to really okay, and I feel kind of good about myself. So I'd recommend that.
Your group and your Asperger's advocacy, where do you see that going in sort of 5-10 years time? What have you got, any dreams, or have you got a wish list?
I do, actually. So I think I want to continue growing it, obviously, like reaching out to more people that are struggling, because there's people getting diagnosed every day, and every single day there's more and more people not knowing where to turn, not knowing who to speak to. So I guess growing the sites, is a really important thing for me to do. But when we can eventually go out and meet up with people again, I would love to do more talks and meet up with people personally, and kind of be more like, I'm an online advocate, but I would also like to do more real life stuff as well. Do you know what I mean? And actually do talks and speeches, and you know, because that's where my passion lies. So I feel like when
we went to Basing, was it Basingstoke that you spoke on the stage?
And I stood on the little stage, and the guy that was with me, he's actually the guy that I'm living with.
Oh, right, okay.
remember? So his
Yeah,
name
I
was,
do, because we had a photograph together as well.
we did, and he had his face makeup stuff on,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
he?
yeah, I remember him.
Face painted.
And you had a
So,
hat on.
yeah, and that's when we saw Ryan perform as well.
Yeah.
Isn't he amazing? He's so good.
Yeah, he's in a band now. He's in a band
Isn't he?
called Blythe Road. So yeah, need to check it out. He's pretty good. He's
Oh,
plays
no,
the
I have
guitar,
to, you know,
rock
message
music.
me after
Yeah,
this, and then, you
right,
know,
great.
yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah. So looking back now, what would you say to your younger self? So if you could go back and meet yourself, what would
Okay,
you say to
scary
yourself?
experience. I would say, stop freaking out over everything. And just calm the hell down. I would just say it's okay to be who you are. You know, be fearless. You know, not everybody hates you. Not everybody's staring at you. Not everybody has a negative opinion about you. There's a lot of people out there that can relate to you and go through similar things to you. Just do what you need to do, and you will grow up to be a really good human being. Because I guess growing up, I felt so, like I said, isolated from everybody, that I was bullied for being gay before I knew I was gay. I was bullied for being different before I knew I was different. But I guess the message I would just want to say to myself, if I could speak to my younger self from 10, 20 years ago, is being different is not the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new one.
Mm-hmm. You're such an inspiring person. You're always so positive, and that's why I like your Facebook posts and your Facebook group. And I think, you know, our charity is always promoting the positives. There's a lot of negative stuff out there on autism, and some of these articles that are written by reporters, they're just horrendous. So it's, you know, we know it's tough. We know there's good days and bad days, but it's all about, you know, raising awareness, acceptance, and including our children and adults in society. Has anybody got any questions that they would like to ask Bryan?
Yeah, okay.
I think somewhat. Nathan, did you want to ask?
I get anxious. I always have a tightness in my chest. I imagine is that a normal thing for Asperger syndrome? Have this sort of in here?
Yeah, to be honest, I would say to you, Nathan, that that's definitely anxiety. So I would say that's quite common for anybody that's experiencing some kind of anxiety. Because we had a chat earlier, Nathan, didn't we? And you said you were feeling quite anxious throughout this lockdown. So I guess, you know, that's pretty natural to feel that way. But, you know, like everybody, me and Nathan know each other personally.
Mine's
so
like,
mine's
like 24/7. My thing is in there. It's in mine happens to be in here. Is that normal? Is that a normal place for it to be?
Yeah, definitely, Nathan. I think I do. You know, I get anxious quite a lot, and a lot of times I think I can hide it a little bit because I'm anxious right now. I'm very anxious. I'm very inside. I'm freaking out.
Are you feeling? Is your chest feeling a bit achy down here?
Not, I wouldn't say it is at the moment, but when I'm feeling really anxious, I can feel that way. But I definitely know the feeling that you're experiencing, because I've experienced that quite a few times. But it's okay to feel that way, you know. Try to just take some deep breaths, you know, do things that make you happy. You know, and
I overthink as well. I get all these obsessive thoughts.
I do as well. I overthink about everything, you know, but you know, I'm always a phone call away if you want to talk, Nath.
Yeah. I think the thing, Nathan, as well, is everyone's overthinking everything at the moment. It's the current world we're living in, and the news doesn't help. So do you watch the news a lot and media, because that can make you anxious?
Yeah. I'm like, during the first lockdown, I was at my sister's in the New Forest, and that took a lot of the weight off of it, really.
Okay.
Oh, so at least you had somebody that could support you, you know. So at least you weren't alone. And I guess that's the last thing that any of us need right now, is to feel isolated and to feel alone. So I'm glad you had your sister.
And apparently there's a lot of people suffering from mental health issues at the minute.
Yeah, of course. And even people that don't usually suffer from mental health issues are starting to feel depressed and anxious. But it's pretty normal, for people to feel that, well, whatever normal may be. But I guess, we will get through it. I think like what we're doing now is really helpful, like Zoom calls, like Zoom, although it's the first time I've used it, is a brilliant platform, same as Facebook Messenger, to just still be present with your friends so you can actually see them and have a face-to-face conversation. I think it's an amazing platform to do that.
I was worried that I couldn't get onto this thingy. I wanted to get onto it, but
I was panicking about doing it myself, to be honest. I'm like, am I going to get onto it? And we both did. So we need to give up. Yeah, we're here. So we need to give each other a pat.
I've got grey hair from the stress.
Oh, bless you. Oh, that comment just made me laugh.
Oh, thank you, Nathan, for sharing how you feel. Has anybody else got any questions that they would like to ask Bryan while he's here?
I don't think there's any questions. Oh, Lisa has.
Lisa has a question.
I haven't got a question. I just wanted to say that obviously I work for Anna Kennedy online during the week, but at the weekends I work in a residential home for the elderly, and a lot of our residents have got dementia. And I just wanted to say that watching your Facebook post, I think you do really well with your mum, and you should be really proud of yourself.
Oh, thank you so much. Honestly, that means a lot to me. Do appreciate.
No, you do. You do really well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. You're just so positive, because obviously you'll have your anxieties about your mom as well, and you'll be worrying about her, but you don't show that in your posts. You just show that how much you love her.
I definitely have my bad days, but then I guess there's no point being a bitter person. If I can inspire people and be happy, then that's what I'm going to do. I've always been an upbeat kind of, even if I'm feeling really low myself, if I know that I can make just one other person happy, then I'm going to do that, because there's so much sadness, so much negativity in this world. We just need more positive influences. And I think, can I just say as well, Anna, I think that you're absolutely fantastic, and I do feel inspired by you, because all of the things that you've done, you're a mother of 2 boys on the spectrum, looking after them fearlessly every single day. I feel inspired by that. Of course, you probably feel negative sometimes too. We all do. We all have bad days, we all have good days, but I feel like seeing your Facebook posts, seeing you constantly wanting to break boundaries and do amazing things for your amazing charity, I see that as quite inspirational, and just something I would love to do in the future, and move forward by doing, different things.
We have chatted in the past, haven't we, about you possibly, I'm going to say this out in the open now, about being one of our charity champions. So you were thinking about that. So you need to hurry up and make a decision.
Yeah, definitely.
Not that putting you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, no, right. Is there a time limit for me to answer this? Right, so. But to everyone, you just got to keep taking it a day at a time. It's not going to last forever, and we will have our tough days. Some days are good, some days are not so good. My worst days is when I don't get a lot of sleep. That's when I feel it. And exactly. It's just like 2 hours. It's when it starts to get about 2-3 o'clock, that's when I feel it, and I just think, oh, I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling really tired. But, plenty of coffee goes a long way.
And don't watch too much news, because there's so conflicting stuff out there at the moment. I just tend to watch the news once.
And I always find like I'm not, I don't watch a lot of news, because I just find a lot of it so negative. Like if they had a mixture of the both, then I'd be more inclined to watch it a bit more. Because like similar to autism and anything, you have to talk about the negatives, but get a couple of positives in there. It's not going to hurt anybody.
Oh, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, Bryan. And if anyone thinks of a question afterwards and they would like to ask Bryan, you can please contact the charity website, www.annakennedyonline.com. We have a contact form in there, and we can share the question with Bryan. And again, as I said, if you feel that there's some extra resources that are needed on our charity website, please contact us, and we're very happy. We're all about sharing information. I know there's quite a few groups are out there that they're all about keeping everything tight to their chest, and they don't like sharing, but our charity is very much about sharing, about networking. So please send us anything that you feel, or if you might like to write an article for the charity website, including yourself, Bryan, just let us know, and we can put it up on the charity website. So I just want to say thank you, Tally, for hosting it.
That's okay. Pleasure.
Thank you to everyone for coming along, and everyone, please keep strong, keep safe, keep going, and we'll get there. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Very much,
Take care,
Anna. Do
everyone.
appreciate it.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye, Nathan. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.